Tonight on Coyote Sports, the football team falls just short and loses by 8 to the number 4 team in the FCS. And the volleyball team wins 2 of their 3 matches in Arkansas. I'm Charlie Daldorf.
And I'm Erica Arpan. The girls' soccer team's losing streak hits 3, and sports commentator Grant Boziacki discusses his thoughts on violence involved with the NFL. But first, the headlines. Delaney?
The Associated Press is reporting that the Nike store in Minnesota's Mall of America has pulled its Adrian Peterson merchandise from its shelves. Earlier, the Radisson hotel chain pulled its sponsorship from the Vikings, citing a conflict of ethical interest. It's all in the response to the felony child abuse charge Peterson is facing. Peterson was indicted on Friday, then benched over the weekend by the Vikings. He's now on the commissioner's exempt list and isn't allowed to be around the team. Miami Marlins slugger Giancarlo Stanton took to Instagram yesterday to show fans how far he's come since taking a fastball to the face in a game last week. Stanton has doctor's appointments scheduled for Tuesday, after which manager Mike Redmond will have a better idea whether the Marlins have any hope of getting their National League MVP candidate back before the season ends. Stanton, who leads the National League in home runs, was hit in the face by a pitch Thursday night and sustained facial fractures and dental damage. Heisman Trophy winner and Florida State quarterback Jameis Winston has been suspended for the first half of the team's next game. Winston was seen shouting an obscene sexual phrase on campus yesterday. He apologized for his actions, but this isn't the first incident to create problems for the team. And those are your headlines.
Sophomore quarterback Ryan Sager and the South Dakota football team notched their first win of the season 2 weeks ago against William Penn. But next up for Sager was his first career road start. Last year, the 1-1 Coyotes traveled to Missoula, Montana to take on the number 4 ranked Grizzlies. The Coyotes' lone points in the first half came on a 35-yard field goal by Miles Bergner. They trailed 7-3 at halftime. Jasper Sanders, who missed last season with a wrist injury, ran 74 yards on 12 carries, including that 18-yard run. His touchdown in the third quarter cut the lead to 14-10. But turnovers got the best of the Coyotes. Sager threw 2 interceptions, and Sanders had a costly fumble in the fourth. Montana's Trayvon Van overcame USC tacklers to score on the play. Van had 59 of the Grizzlies' 207 rushing yards. USD cut the deficit to 8 when Eric Shuffer Jr. caught a 31-yard touchdown with just under 2 minutes to go. However, it wasn't enough, and the Coyotes fell 28-20. The Yotes are now 1-2 on the season and host 23rd ranked Northern Arizona Lumberjacks at 1 p.m. Saturday afternoon.
With construction underway for the new sports arena, students have had to find a new place to tailgate. The location is back in its original spot on the north side of the dome. Assistant Director of Student Services, Lindsay Sparks, says students are enjoying the new spot.
We heard this week from last weekend that they loved it. They love being on the grass. They love kind of having their own space and being really close and compact, whereas last year we were really far out and that sort of thing.
The change also makes it easier for UPD to make sure students have a fun and safe tailgating experience.
You know, it just helps control the situation a little better so we don't have everybody spread all over campus and around the dome.
Students like that the small area allows them to enjoy time with friends and keep a little cooler.
I like that it's in the grass this year. Last year it got really hot on the concrete, and it's just so close together that everyone kind of can just go from tailgate to tailgate. It feels more like a community.
Tailgating begins at 11 a.m. before each home football game.
Senior outside hitter Kendall Crittenbrink was named the Summit League's Volleyball Offensive Player of the Week. Crittenbrink recorded 57 kills over 3 matches at the Razorback Invitational this past weekend. It's the first time she's won the award this year, but she's no stranger to it, having won it 6 times in the past. The Coyotes won 2 of 3 in Arkansas, with their loss coming against Southern Methodist. On Friday, the Coyotes take on Colorado at the Creighton Classic. USD will take on host Creighton and Illinois on Saturday. USD golfer Sam Matthew led the Coyotes with a 5th place finish at the University of Nebraska-Omaha Invitational this week. Matthew shot a total of 221 on the 54th hole course. The team finished in 4th place out of 10 teams, their best finish so far this fall. Grant Campbell placed 6th overall with a 222, but competed as an individual, so his finish didn't count towards the team race. USD will compete at the SDSU Jackrabbit Invitational on Monday.
The USD women's soccer team played host to 2 games this past weekend. Junior Taylor Navala scored a header in the 7th minute to give the Coyotes an early lead against Wyoming on Friday. The Coyotes held on to the lead until the second half when the Cowgirls scored back-to-back goals within just minutes of each other. The Coyotes lost the game 2-1. The Coyotes also faced their I-29 rivals this weekend. The Coyotes placed the Creighton Blue Jays on Sunday afternoon, and despite a second-half goal, the Coyotes lost 3-1.
In this week's sports commentary, Grant Boziaki discusses the National Football League's glaring issue with domestic violence.
The hot topic in the worldwide of sports, as you know, has been the dire state of the NFL. Names like Greg Hardy, Ray McDonald, Adrian Peterson, and Ray Rice have filled headlines for all the wrong reasons. Domestic assaults and now child abuse has been the first item of discussion brought up with the league rather than the play on it. I feel like it's my responsibility to shed some light on this pressing issue. ESPN's Heath Olbermann recently displayed a poll asking if the NFL is suffering from an epidemic of domestic violence problems. 69% of Americans said yes, 70% of NFL fans said yes, and 73% of female fans said yes. Those numbers are glaring, and we're talking about a sport that gained as many viewers in last week's Sunday night matchup between the 49ers and the Bears as the NBA got in last year's game-clinching championship game. What makes matters worse is the league's commissioner, Roger Goodell, has not been innovative whatsoever in fixing this vast issue the league has. It took a video to hit the web to ban Ray Rice for the foreseeable future, while preposterously has been up in the air each week whether these players are allowed to strap up their helmets on Sundays. But does that really surprise you? We're in a culture where winning dominates over everything. Teams are allowed to sit back on the wayside and say it's out of their hands, when in reality, they can't stand the thought of hurting the product of their team by having these players on the sidelines. I fully realize that in the last 24 hours, Hardy and Peterson have been asked to stay away from their teams, but the disturbing part for me is that the NFL is simply reacting and not acting. So I'm telling you, Roger Goodell, you need to do more. And players, you need to do more as well. And all this needs to happen sooner rather than later. For Coyote Sports, I'm Grant Boziaki.